Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here then welcome to my channel. In today's video I have something really different, I guess. I'm sharing with you guys my top 6 makeup brushes, face makeup brushes that I would purchase first if all my makeup brushes were to disappear one day. Why am I doing this video? That is because one of you guys asked me to do a makeup brush recommendation video, really talk about my holy grail, my elite makeup brushes. Now I have a lot of them, right? Like I basically use a lot of makeup brushes, but I thought the best way to go about this would be to do a comprehensive video on my top number 1 elite brushes, which are also multi-purpose. So if you don't have like 1 or 2 of these brushes, you can still do full face of makeup with whatever makeup brushes you're going to choose from these 6 brushes. Really multi-purpose. So yeah, if you are interested, then please continue watching. The first brush that started my love for these kind of brushes has to be the Lashes F016 brush. So affordable, such great brush at this price. I've been using this from almost 1.5 years almost, and it's as good as new. Not a single shedding, I must say. Such a great brush. So if you want to start off and not spend a lot of money, then definitely check this out. I'm telling you, these kind of brushes can do practically everything for you. So how do these brushes look like, you ask? This is how they look like. They have shorter bristles starting off, and then they extend to some larger bristles. They are slightly slanted, like you can see. A different brush in the same type but from a different brand has to be the Wearified 05 brush. Now this one is slightly more densely packed, like you can see, but these both do just a fab job at blending your foundation. Now in the demo portion of the video, you will see that I have used the Wearified brush for blending my liquid foundation on one side and a cream foundation on the other side, which is why I'm choosing this brush over any other foundation brush. This works well not just with liquids but also with cream products, which is on the stiffer side. So a brush which is not very densely packed can work for liquid foundations but not so much for creams. Hence, if I have to choose only one brush for my base, foundation, concealer, all of that, I would choose one of these. A concealer brush that I would immediately repurchase has to be this one from PAC. This is the PAC X Sarah Concealer Perfector brush. Now with this brush, I'm telling you, the way the bristles are packed is just perfect for the under eyes. I've noticed, like, you know those rounded brush that people use for under eyes. I also have those, but I never really reach out to those because they are just extremely densely packed and can be a little bit rough on the under eye area, because our under eyes are on the sensitive side, more thinner than the rest of our skin. A brush which is super densely packed can feel a little uncomfortable, honestly, but with this brush I never find that to be the case. Density is just perfect. You can see there's some pushback when I'm doing this on the back of my hand, which means it just bounces back on the skin really well. Easy to blend. In no time you're able to blend your concealer, and also gets really easily into the inner corner of the eye. So now the second most important reason why I'm recommending this or would purchase if all my brushes were to disappear is because I can of course use this for my concealer blending, but also I love using this to blend my blush. Liquid blush, cream blush, any blush for that matter. The perfect thing about this is it of course blends the blush really well, but it retains the pigment of the blush on the cheek, which is exactly what I want. I don't want to buy like highly pigmented blushes and then when I'm about to blend, or the tool that I'm using to blend it just takes away all that pigment and then there's barely anything left on my skin. Don't want that. That's not why I'm spending my money on those kinds of blushes. So a brush like this really comes in handy, which of course blends it very seamlessly and easily, but also retains the pigment on the cheek. And again, no brainer, the shape is just perfect. It's not too big where the blush is getting dispersed everywhere. Like, I'm able to concentrate the blush blending exactly where I want it to be, which again is so important for me. I hate it when I'm not being mindful of the choice of my brush. I use a very fluffy or a bigger brush and then my blush is everywhere on my cheek. Not my favorite thing to have on my face whatsoever. So a brush like this again just perfectly blends in that specific area, which is why this again has to be a multi-purpose kind of a brush, and I would definitely virtual. Now in all honesty, I'm not the kind of person who uses a brush to set my under eyes. I rather prefer like a puff, those pizza puff, or even a sponge sometimes when I'm being lazy. But if I have to choose one brush to set my under eyes and also double up as my highlighter brush, it has to be this one from Wearified. This is their number 2 brush. By the way, I washed all of these brushes last night just to like film this video and whatnot, and the lettering has kind of rubbed off, but the brush in itself is amazing. So let me show you. It's not completely tapered, nor is it very rounded. It's somewhere in between, so it's like a rounded tapered brush. And again, this is why it doubles up, not just to set your under eyes but also as a highlighter, because you can precisely apply your highlighter on the cheekbones or on certain areas of your face because of this tip that's happening on this brush. I absolutely love this, and this again picks just the perfect amount of loose setting powder and immediately sets it without overdoing it, which is great. And another thing I like about this is it also works well with a compact powder, like you would expect a brush to work. So you can really use this with anything that you want to set your face with, and like I said before, it just applies your powder highlighter so beautifully. I do not love fan brushes. I've never loved fan brushes in the entire history of wearing makeup, so that's out of the question anyways. But a brush like this just works beautifully in applying, especially if you want to apply your products precisely in certain areas, then a brush like this really comes in handy. Next up, I have a brush that I've been using non-stop for my bronzers and my contour, be it cream or liquid. Everything works with this brush. I'm talking about the Daily Life Forever 52 brush in the number NX002. This is how the brush looks like. It has this rose gold handle, so you can see quite densely packed, but it just perfectly blends the contour, bronzer, whatever you're applying, without moving it upwards or downwards, which is so important for me. I hate it, like I said with blush application as well, I hate it when my contour or bronzer just like exceeds this line. I don't want it below this because then it just drags your face down. And another thing that I really appreciate about this brush is that it retains the pigment of the product, which again is so important. Like I've noticed that in the past I have bought some really good bronzer slash contour products, and then because the choice of my brush was not the best, I wasn't getting the same result that some other people were talking about. And let me tell you, with bronzers and contours, your brush really contributes to the overall outcome of how it's going to look on your skin. Now, generally, I'm not the kind of girly who sets her cream bronzer or contour with a powder bronzer slash contour. You know, if I'm doing creams, I'm just going to let that be. On the rare occasions that I'm only using powder bronzer slash contour product, this is the brush that has quickly become my go-to. Again, from Wearified, this is the number 04. Now, why I love this so much is, of course, the density is just perfect for it to disperse my powder products on my face, right? It's not too dense, like you can see, a perfect powder brush. But not just that, it again tapers, like you can see. You see this tapering happening, which again lets the product be precisely in that area while I'm blending out, and not again move it upward and downward. And I also love the fact that I have the control with my powders with this brush. It doesn't deposit a lot of product just at once, which again can be a deal breaker when it comes to the final outcome with your powder bronzers and stuff like that. So a brush is really important in this category, according to me, and this one just does the job. I can slowly add a nice layer of my bronzer and then start to build it up. Never ever looks blotchy or patchy with this. So you need this if you are into powder bronzers. My last face brush is something that I would use normally to set my face, and it is again from Wearified. I think I have like 4 brushes from Wearified at this point. This one is the Wearified 03 brush, and it looks something like this. And again, you can see it's not too densely packed, so it's just perfect to lightly dust the powder. Now, of course, I don't like buff the powder on my skin because I have dry skin. I really don't feel the need to. So what I do is, on my compact powder, I just graze the brush like this on with one side, and then lightly, gently just pat it on the skin, any area which is looking slightly more greasy than others, and it adds a nice veil of setting powder, does not look powdery. Of course, if you want, you can buff or use the buffing motion with this brush. I think that would also work really well. I generally don't do that. I just pat or pick on one side and then pat like this. I actually had been looking for a powder brush like this from a very long time, which kind of gives me the option to pat and not really buff. I don't like to buff my powder on my skin once I'm done with full face of makeup. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. I want to know your top 6 brushes, top 3 would also do. And thank you to you guys for pushing me to do this video. But if you enjoyed this video and liked it, then please give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click on the bell notification right next to it. You can follow me on Instagram right over here, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye bye.